Nasty, DJ and producer. Born in Fiji, grew up in New Zealand, lived in the UK for a long time, and now live in the States.
How would you describe your style of music?
Stuff I do now is kind of a bit of variety, really. I guess there's a bit of drum steppy stuff with more of a UK influence, and then sort of glitch hoppy and acid crunky kind of stuff out of the west coast of the United States, so more of a California sound as well, and stuff that meets in the middle, in between those two things, because I'm still influenced by the UK scene, even though I don't live there anymore. But I'm really excited about the new stuff coming out of the States because it doesn't sound like anything else. They developed their own, matured their own sound. It started out from the electronic scene in the late 90s and early 2000s out of the UK, and it's evolved into something else. So maybe you could say that the granddaddies of the glitch hop and acid crunk scene would be maybe Cybeg, you know, Dave Tipper, people like that. Now it's turned into its own animal. It's very different from the roots, and it's a distinctly West Coast sound. When you say West Coast, it would also include some artists from Colorado. I think Colorado, Denver's, you could almost say, is one of the bass capital of America, or one of them. You know, and then you got other spots around the place on the West Coast, but mainly I guess LA, San Francisco, Bay Area, Oakland.
Straight from the West.
Do you think there's room for that scene to grow out of the West Coast? I guess it already has, but you know,
it's starting to with you guys. I mean, hearing the stuff that the lads from the label were doing. You know, I contacted them just because one of them hit me up, and I listened to the stuff, and I thought, fuck, this is really good. It's quality glitch hop. Do you know what I mean? And it's pure, and Zen Death Squad as well. It's out of here, and it's. I think what I'd like to see happen with the sound here is it veer off into its own thing as well, you know, because at the moment it's kind of a little bit like what dubstep was like in America when it first came out in the UK, that people in America, oh, I'm going to make it sound like the UK dubstep. And I think at some point UK glitch hop's got to do the same thing. Go, okay, it started off sounding like the American guys, but it's got to move into its own sound, you know, to an identifiable English sound, which will still sound in that realm of glitch hop, but I think that's when a scene really matures, when it has its own flavour and its own feel. And you guys will all be influencing each other, doing your own thing, and that's how it happened. That's how it happened on the West Coast. Came out of the breaks thing and out of the that element of music that became big on the West Coast, and people started off making stuff like that, and then the local influences turned it into something else. That's when it really becomes interesting, you know what I mean?
Go ahead and rock it up, on with your love feet. My whole team street, Wall Street, we might have lost a team. On the off beat, kick snare, got the dip, we step I shot so right, you get blinded by the dip. Style so ridiculous, it's not fair. You can't compare. Are you ready for that?
I always look for new sounds around me and try and do something that takes from those, but is something new in and of itself. That's what I tend to do, and sometimes I'm more successful than others, I think, but I always try and create a fusion, a new fusion, but just from the things that are around me. But these days, the things that are around you are the things that are on the other side of your internet connection, which could be anywhere in the world. But there's still something exciting about regional scenes, about people who know each other. You know, all the West Coast cats know each other, and they'll all be making music together for years, or growing up, coming to each other's big gigs, or the next generation up guys at gigs, you know. So if you listen to all the Headtron guys, for example, you know, that are sort of, they're making this, what they call them, post-dubstep, or I didn't know the labels are a bit irrelevant. I guess in a way there isn't really a proper label for it. But stuff that has that Bay Area hyphy kind of vibe, the acid crunk kind of feel. So the hip hop, American hip hop, even classic West Coast hip hop kind of feel. But with the influence of maybe the wobble of dubstep, but it's not all womp. It's kind of almost, it's got the wobble in there, but it's secondary to the vibe, and then a lot more melodic stuff, a lot more interesting melodic lines. So it's as much about the melody and the atmosphere as it is about the bass and the beats. And it's good because it's difficult to get more wompy than stuff's gotten right now, you know. And I love that stuff. I love the heavy wompy stuff, but I think at some point it becomes more interesting when everyone's doing that to shift gears and change into something else, and that's what a lot of these cats have done. And the West Coast is kind of a lot more accepted. I think here, I noticed when I was playing at the Glade stage there that when I veered into the glitch up stuff, people are a little more like, I could see them, you know, where's the huge drop, where's the big womp, and I understand that. But I still played a bunch of glitch up because I wanted people to hear it and to be able to think back in a year's time. The next time they hear it, or maybe when they hear you guys playing, they're, oh yeah, I remember hearing that stuff. Okay, cool, I'm a little bit more open to it than I was before. So, you know, sometimes you got to take a hit for the team. You know?
Thanks, man, that's appreciated.
Everybody in the club will work. I'll go rock to the beat till they're hurting. Everybody in the club will work. I'll go rock to the beat till they're hurting. Everybody in the club will work. I'm gonna rock to the beat till they're hurting.
You know, I used to play dubstep to people in the States and they'd just stand and look at me. Do you know what I mean? They're like, what is this shit so slow? What are you doing? But the kids who are into hip hop started getting it first because they already had the chopped and screwed stuff, they already had the crunk stuff that had gotten so slow that it was starting to get down to 70 BPM. So for them, when they heard the dubstep, the American kids were like, oh, okay, there was a certain niche of those kids who got it because it felt like hip hop and it grew out of there. But a lot of the electronic scene would just stand there staring at me. And I think now dubstep has become more mainstream. There's a whole bunch of scenes where you saw in there that was people sort of going, oh, what's this? But probably in 4 years time, they're going to be going, oh yeah, man, I'm right into glitch up. Glitch up's awesome. Yeah, I was into that stuff years ago.
You just had Dread at the controls out with the remixes. Have you got a new album on the way? It's been quite a long time since the last one.
Yeah, I have. I've got a bunch of stuff that I've written over the last few years, and stuff that vocals I've recorded and stuff from various different people I think are amazing. And yeah, right at the moment I'm tying it into something, and really a lot of this has been, a lot of the last year for me has just been, after taking a couple of years out to study, getting back into the vibe, hearing music differently, you know, getting in deep into my own studio and just feeling out new sounds and new ways of putting sounds together, and then I'm gonna go back over some of the old stuff and just take out the gems, maybe just totally redo stuff from the vocals up. And there's some other stuff that it still to me doesn't sound like anything anyone's done, where I just did random shit that I was into and there's no scene that's done it yet. So
wicked.
Yeah,